Okay, well, here we are. My name is Kevin Boyd, and I'm the director of the Joe Shuster Awards, and I'm here to... Thank you. And I'm here to welcome you to our 10th annual ceremony. So it's pretty amazing, 10 years. I'm just seeing James here brings back a lot of memories, back to the first few years, and Tyrone is here helping us with the audiovisual as he's done for most of the years. It's just amazing that, you know, when I think back to 2004, all the things that have happened since, it seems like an eternity. And, you know, we've had some pretty amazing things happen and some pretty unamazing things happen to us as well. But one thing that we're really proud of here at the Canadian Comic Book Creator Awards Association, or the CCAA, is that we continue to produce some brilliant artists, writers, and cartoonists. And they in turn have produced some pretty renowned and amazing works. And year after year, people from across the country and living abroad have added to the media in many new and exciting ways. I mean, if you look at any of the top 10 lists from the last few years, you'll see Canadians there. You look at any awards presentation, whether it's the Eisners or the Harveys, of course you'll see Canadians in the Doug Wright Awards because they're Canadian. And it's a pretty amazing time for Canadian comics history as well. I mean, we've got Nelvana out this year, Brock Windsor and Johnny Canuck are on their way, more on the horizon. It's you know, Captain Canuck is on cartoons on the internet and is going to be republished again. It's pretty amazing to think that you know, the people that we were honoring 10 years ago, like Adrian Dingle, Leo Bockel, John Stables, and Richard Cumley, are becoming household names again, which is it's pretty amazing.
Greetings, Canada. My heartiest congratulations to all the nominees and the winners of the 2007 Joe Shuster Awards. Excelsior!
Hey. We're going to get mileage out of that forever. You know? Every year it's going to be a different year. But, so tonight our first award is the TM Maple Award. As I mentioned before, it was an idea suggested by Joe Martin and a couple of others earlier this year. We've actually been talking about a way to revive our old Outstanding Achievement Award. Something that looks at the people and the activities that don't quite fit into the creative categories that we honor. And you know, it's essentially a way for us to, with your assistance, to recognize individuals who matter but who do not necessarily receive the recognition that they should for their efforts. So, of course, the first person to receive the TM Maple Award is Jim Burke, who was TM Maple. Surprise. I'll preface this by saying that when I was a kid and I was reading comics in the late 70s and the early 80s, my sense of Canadian identity was really shaped by two people. One was John Byrne, because he was amazing and was working on Uncanny X-Men, Iron Fist. He was the artist that everyone worshipped at the time. As well as TM Maple, who was a Unabomber-like missive. He sent letters to basically every major comic book title every month. I mean, this guy was just, I don't know if he did anything else for a living, but essentially he was sending out letters, sent over 3,000 letters over 14 years, which is pretty amazing. And you know, he got to the point where when Marvel Comics was going to change their policy on using pseudonyms on their letter columns, they actually they altered his Mad Maple pseudonym to TM Maple just to make it sound like he was actually a person, as opposed to some mysterious person in a closet somewhere. Now, Burke was a comics fan, and from 1977 up until his passing in 1994, he submitted letters under the name the Mad Maple. He really liked it when Marvel changed the name to TM Maple, and he quickly started using it exclusively. As you may have seen, he created his own letterhead for sending letters into the various publishers. And he liked to use variations on TM Maple by calling himself like Theodore Maddox Maplehurst and things like that. They were actually quite popular among the readers as well as the editors. And he wrote to so many different comics publishers that, in a sense, a series had made it when T.M. Maple's critical eye had turned to their book. And to an entire generation, if you mention comic book letter columns, you'll think of T.M. Maple and other prolific writers like him.
Hello. So I knew Deb since we were in grade 7 together. She was incredible. Anyone who knew her knew she always had a smile. She always knew what was happening in your life. She always had time for your problems. In fact, you'd never know if she had a problem because she took such joy in helping you with yours that her stuff just never came up. She would light up a room the second she walked in with that beaming personality. She was crazy smart and beautiful and had the sharpest wit. There's no question how much of an impact she had in this community. Between Ladies' Night, various message boards, and just the way she was involved in all of our lives. Robert and I wanted to further remember and recognize Deb's impact on the community. We would like to ask Kevin and Deb's sister Carrie to accept this piece. If you aren't aware, this is a piece from My Little Pony by Agnes Garbowska, and this pony right here is Deb. And we just wanted you guys to have this piece, and I know she would have loved it. And I don't know what else.
Thank you so much. It's pretty amazing. I remember I went to the Chicago show in April, C2E2. And Agnes was there, and she called me over. She says, "I can't wait to tell you something. I'm going to immortalize Deb in a comic, and include her as a pony," which was, I mean, Deb loved My Little Pony. It's one of those things I never understood, I'll be honest. but I, you know, when she showed me Pinkie Pie, who was her favorite, and Pinkie Pie was Deborah, completely. She called it her spirit animal. But yeah, she completely embodied that spirit. Anyway, thanks so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Anthony Falcone. I'm a columnist at comicbookdaily.com.
Thanks. And I'm Scott Vanderploeg, the editor-in-chief at comicbookdaily.com.
And Scott and I have the privilege of coordinating the Harry KREMER Retailer Award.
Now and Then Comics and its owner Harry KREMER exemplified the very best in the comic book retail. Customer service, product knowledge, and Harry's affable nature showed the best of what a comic store could be.
The Harry KREMER Retailer Award is given each year to the store that lives up to the standards set by Now and Then Comics and is deserving of the title Outstanding Canadian Comic Book Retailer.
This year the nominees were Amazing Stories, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Comic Readers, Regina, Saskatchewan, Another Dimension, Calgary, Alberta, The Comic Shop, Vancouver, British Columbia, Time Masters, St. John's, Newfoundland.
Round of applause for the Stores are nominated by the general public, and then they submit an application to a panel of judges. Applicants are scored based on product range, supporting a wide variety of material, overall appeal of the store, industry knowledge, community activity, and customer service.
I'm proud to present the Harry KREMER Award to The Comic Shop, Vancouver, British Columbia.
So as they are not here this evening, Kevin and the rest of the crew will ensure that this award makes its way to Vancouver and finds a place of honor on their wall.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Robert Haynes. My lovely wife owns the Dragon, and that's about all really I have to do with this stuff. But tonight I am presenting the award for the Jean Day Award, which is for self-publishing, and it's a particular award that is close to my heart, and I was glad to see develop by the Shuster Awards, because that next generation of comics creators, the guys cutting and pasting in their basements or spending hours inking things, they're important to flesh out what comics can be, and they're discovering their own tales. It's some of the best stuff that has been put out in the last 5 years. Definitely is self-published. The nominees for tonight's award are Jordan Bouchon, The Terrible Death of Finnegan Strap, number 2, The Claw of the Earth. Antonin Buisson, Gardez le Rythme. Stephen Berger for Talk. James Edward Clark for Evil, number 2. The Cloudscape Comics Collective for their book Waterlogged Tales from the Seventh Sea. Stephen Gilbert for The Journal of the Main Street Secret Lodge. Mike Meyer for Barbaric Sword of Savagery, and Deanna Tamblin for Gerald Bull and the Supergun, Volume 1. And the winner is... Dun, dun, dun. Okay, Stephen Gilbert, The Journal of the Main Street Secret Lodge. You've been working on this book for about 10 years.
A little bit, yeah.
And is the owner of a comic shop in Newmarket, Ontario. So I'd like to keep it in the family. Here, say some words.
Thank you so much to Kevin for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's true, I spent about 15 years not making comics when I probably should have. I was lucky enough I got to meet Frank Santoro at TCAF back in May, because it was really him saying some stuff online mentioning my name and talking about some comics I had done years ago, and that I should probably make some more comics, that got me off my ass and back drawing some comics. And I never would have thought that stuff like this would have come of it. It's more than I could have ever imagined or hoped for, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, the Canadian Comic Book Creator Hall of Fame will be inducting 3 new members this year, joining the 33 previous members of the august body. 2 of those members, Adrian Dingle, creator of Nelvana, and Leo Bockel, creator of Johnny Connect, join our newest Cybelle in this short film that we're going to show you from 1971 on Canada's golden age of comics that aired on the CBC, and we thought you might enjoy this.
Today, we are honoring the man in that clip, Cyril Von Bell. Bell's legacy lives on as the most famous of the Canadian Whites publishers, and after a patriotic rediscovery in the early 70s, the Whites are being rediscovered today and shared again. Bell's legacy lives into a new century for a new generation of comic fans. I'm proud to induct Cyril Von Bell into the Joe Shuster Hall of Fame. We don't know where Cyril's family is, but we have asked Hope Nicholson to accept the award in his honor. She is the co-publisher of the recent reprinting of Nelvana's Adventures, so there's a kind of synergy to that. Thank you.
It's kind of weird because I never actually got to meet Cy in person, since he, of course, died long before I was born. But I always was really impressed with his publishing empire that he built, and it's really a huge inspiration. That's a lot to live up to, I think, when anyone publishes anything in Canada, to see the prolific amount of work that he did, and and how he kept in touch with all of his artists and wrangled them into work is something that I have no idea how he did, and I'm incredibly impressed. And my favorite parts of Cybelle's comics were always when his artists would do parodies of him. Yeah. Little cartoon strips where they'd make fun of, his mustache and his personality and everything. Yeah, and I really thank Michael Hirsch and Patrick LeBert for introducing me to Cybelle and talking about him so passionately when they interviewed him for the 1970s Telescope series and did the Great Canadian Comic Books. And thanks to Cybelle's work with John Ezrin, these comic books are here today in archives across Canada, and that's something that we can really all be thankful for.
All right, so I'm back to present the Kids Award, which is now called the Dragon Award for Children's Comics, and it recognizes the vast depth of talent being utilized to produce kids' comics in Canada. This is a subject near and dear to my heart as an educator and also as a comic store owner. I recognize that comics can be great tools to get kids to learn to read and get excited about reading, so I started sponsoring this award to showcase some of that fantastic talent and these works being produced by Canadian creators. So the nominees this year are The Adventures of Superhero Girl by Faith Erin Hicks, L'Agent Jean, tome 4 et 5 by Alex A, Bigfoot Boy Volume 2 by Jay Torres and Faith Erin Hicks, Couette, tome 2 et 3 by Séverine Gauthier and Minikim, Gubi, tome 1 by Sampar, Hocus Pocus Takes the Train by Sylvie Desrosiers and Remy Simard, Odd Duck by Cecil Castellucci and Sarah Varon, and Spera Volume 2 by Josh Tierney and Kyla Vanderkate. And the winner is Couette, tome 2 et 3 by Séverine Gauthier and Minikim. I will be accepting this and getting it to Minikim, who is an absolutely amazingly talented artist on this book. If you have never seen these books, they are absolutely adorable and charming in every way imaginable. The colors are gorgeous. The art is just fantastic. There's very minimal words in it, so if you're daunted by French, this might be the BD for you. But the storytelling that's done through the images is so amazing and powerful. The jury just absolutely fell in love with it. So, thanks.
Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Walsh. I work with the webcomics side of things. I'm going to move things along quickly, but I will just quickly say, first of all, I want a big round of applause for Kevin Boyd, who is the heart and soul of the Shuster Awards. And the shit he's had to deal with this year is just, no one should ever have to go through, and to still deliver and put his heart into this is just an amazing thing. Thank you very much. This year's nominees for webcomics are really phenomenal because I love how the spectrum is. We got the artsy stuff, we got your more traditional daily gag strips. It really is just remarkable stuff. So to get right into it, the nominees are Attila Adorjany, sorry, I probably murdered that anyway, Metaphysical Neuroma. Jade Aït-Kaci with Christina Strain with The Fox Sister, Olivier Carpentier and Gauthier Langevin for Far Out, Emily Carroll for The Three Snake Leaves, Grave of the Lizard Queen, Out of Skin, Cady Fiderick, Blind Springs, Kanan Grawl, Max Overacts, Dakota McFadden, The Dailies and Shilban, and Ty Templeton, Buntoons. And the winner is Jade Aït-Kaci for The Fox Sister. You're not here, are you? You're not hiding in the back. Well, we accept this on their behalf, and it's a phenomenal strip. You should definitely check it out and read up. I love it because of it's got manga influence, but it's not like your normal, typical manga design. So they really did create something beautiful with this strip. So congratulations.
Hello everybody, welcome to the awards on this last Saturday of summer. My name's Ivan Kokmarek, and I'm here for the Hall of Fame inductee Edmund Good. Let's welcome him with this well-deserved induction to the Canadian Comic Book Hall of Fame. And we'll make sure that the award gets down to his son, who recently moved to Florida, and he'll be very pleased to have this and proud that his father got into the Canadian Hall of Fame.
I'm back, in case you missed me. I'm here to present the Cover Art Award, and the nominees are Kalman Andrasovsky, Nick Bradshaw, last year's winner Mike Del Mundo, Dejif, Ken Lashley, Julie Rochelot, and Michael Walsh. And I'm happy to report that the winner is Julie Rochelot. Now, Julie actually sent me something in case she did win, so I'll read her statement. Thing locked on me. Thank you for your support and this gracious compliment. We are working very hard on this series, and now we'll work even harder. I love my job. Thank you very much. Voila. I see we're keeping up a tradition of not having the winners here. The next. Oh, is it artist? Oh, geez. Okay. Well, that explains it. All right. Where's the list of? Okay, here we are. First nominee is Nick Bradshaw. Wolverine in the X-Men 23, 31 to 25 in Annual 1. Next nominee is Dalaf for Les Nombrils, number 6. Jonathan Tromor. De Gif for Le Crépuscule de Dieu, tome 7 of l'Univers. Jason Fabok for Detective Comics. Stuart Immonen for All New X-Men. Julie Rochelot for Le Colère de Fantômas, tome 1. Fiona Staples for Saga. And Chip Zdarsky for Sex Criminal. And the winner is Fiona Staples. Okay, and now to present our final Hall of Fame award is Scott Chandler.
Hello there. My name is Scott Chandler. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yes, nice. It's well deserved. I'm here to tell you about Ty Templeton. And there he is. I've never told Ty this, but he was the first professional comic book artist that I ever met. If the first professional comic book creator I ever met had been somebody else, perhaps anybody else, I might have gone on to lead a normal life with regular, healthy social habits and a career that you can actually make money at, perhaps as an architect or a dentist. But no, I had to meet Ty Templeton, an event that would only cement my youthful passion for making comics and propel me to hone my craft with a fervor that would eventually lead me to my own career in the comics industry. That son of a bitch. I don't remember what advice I got on my art from those other two guests at that convention in 1991. But when I nervously handed my 8 or 10 pages of photocopied art samples to Ty Templeton, rather than brushing me off or mumbling something about working on my anatomy, like, most other, proper industry professionals would, he had the audacity to spend about 40 minutes with me while a line of autograph seekers waited. He turned one of my pages over, quickly redrawing it in rough on the other side, showing me how he would have laid out the page, and explaining his thinking as he went along in detail. His advice wasn't about how to draw, it was about how to tell stories visually, and his dedication to that craft was clear. It opened my 18-year-old eyes to the fact that comics weren't simply an excuse to draw giant robots and muscle heroes, but that this was an art form, and a subtle and expressive one. And it wasn't enough to simply draw well, though I'm certain my youthful sample pages hadn't even managed that. But Ty is the one that showed me that comics aren't just heavily illustrated books, but a unique storytelling language of their own. One that, if done well, gracefully combines the visual arts with drama, film directing, and poetry. For his extraordinary mentorship of young creators, for being an affable and warm presence in the Canadian comics scene, and for decades of great comics, I am pleased to induct Ty Templeton into the Canadian Comic Book Creator Hall of Fame. I'm terribly sorry, Scott. I didn't mean to do that to you.
I'm really pleased to get this because I grew up in a household where being Canadian was a job. My father, Charles Templeton, and his best pal, Pierre Burton, used to do a radio show every day on the radio where they just talked about Canadianness at 100 miles an hour. So being Canadian matters to me more than I think almost anything else. And being a comic book artist matters to me a lot too, because I honestly think that comics is the universal language. You sometimes hear that it's music, but you can't teach people how to buckle their seatbelt or get their luggage with music, but you see that in every airport you go to. And I've sometimes heard that violence is the universal language, but you can only say two things, which is I don't like you and give me that. But comics covers everything. You can say anything with comics, and that's what I think makes it the universal language of human beings. So I like that I get to kind of do the universal art form of human beings when I do it. Now, Scott was saying about being inspired by people. I was inspired when I was quite young by Ken Stacy, who was the first professional comic book artist I ever met. And he used to let me sit in his studio and watch him draw Iron Man and the sacred and the profane. And it meant enormous things to me that people from my neighborhood were making comics like Iron Man, and that it was somehow less of a magic trick if I could actually meet the people who did this. So in the spirit of that, I'm going to spend a couple of seconds telling you guys the speech I give every class I ever teach that starts with the phrase, you have to understand that talent is bullshit. That there is no such thing as talent for writing and drawing. It's a set of skills that you learn how to do. And the reason that I'm able to be a comic book artist is because my father was a cartoonist when he was quite young. And when I was 5 years old, instead of throwing a ball with me, I asked him, how do you draw a human profile in proper proportion? And how does an elbow bend? And how do you get folds on clothing? And he would sit and he would tell me this kind of stuff. And so I learned it because I had a professional comic book artist living in my house. So if any one of you has one in your house, you have a couple of my children do, you have a strong chance of learning these skills, because it is a set of skills. No one gets impressed with somebody learning to do the skills their parents do. I always say if a kid grows up in a Japanese family, no one says they're talented at speaking Japanese. So if you grow up in a family with a cartoonist in the house, you grow up learning how to do this. And I'm really pleased that I hope I can be an inspiration to the next group of people who need to be told that talent is bullshit and that all you have to do is learn the skills. So thank you very much for this. I am incredibly proud of this. Thank you so much.
I'm back again. Sorry. So the nominees for Outstanding Writer are, and they have a lot of credits, Ed Brisson for Sheltered, Come Back, Dia de los Muertos, and Secret Avengers. Maurice Dubuc avec Marc Delafontaine for Les Nombres, Tome 6. Ray Fox, he wrote a lot. For Batgirl, Constantine with Jeff Lemire. Justice League Dark with Jeff Lemire, Legends of the Dark Knight #9, Tap Tap, Trinity of Sin, Pandora, Young Romance, Dreamer is the story title, Time Warp 000003, Creepy 14, Black Feathers, and Pathfinder Goblins 3, The Way of the Goblin. Jeff Lemire matches his Ray's credits with Animal Man, Constantine with Ray Fox, Batman Black and White 2 Winter's End, Green Arrow, Justice League of America with Jeff Johns, Justice League Dark with Ray Fox, Swamp Thing with Scott Snyder, American Vampire Anthology 1 Canadian Vampire, for Adventure Time, and Midas Flesh. Amy Valencourt for Kissinger et Nous, Tome 1, Lostig Gang. And Curtis Weed for Rat Queens, Peter Panzerfaust, and Dia de los Muertos #3, Lonesome. And the winner is Curtis Weed for Rat Queens, Peter Panzerfaust, and Dia de los Muertos. Unfortunately, he's at a convention in Saskatoon this weekend, but like some of the out-of-town people who sent me words of thanks in case they won, he sent me a little message saying, thanks for giving me a chance to say some words. Here are my thoughts. It's a huge honor to be the recipient of this year's Joe Shuster Award. I'm continually reminded of how supportive the Canadian comic industry has been with my career, and it is one that I'm extremely grateful for. A huge thanks to my creative collaborators, Rock Upchurch on Rat Queens and Tyler Jenkins on Peter Panzerfaust. Their vision and contribution to the work earns them an equal share in this award. And thank you to the Shuster Awards Committee that continue to do great and important work for the Canadian comic scene. Awesome, thank you. Congratulations, Curtis.
I put so much effort into that speech about Ty that I really didn't prepare anything for the Cartoonist Award, but suffice it to say, a cartoonist is someone who writes and draws their own work, which I can tell you firsthand is a lot of work. And yeah, cartoonists are great and also very handsome. Let's find out who was the most handsome in 2013. The nominees are Darwin Cook for Richard Stark's Parker Slaygrounds. Here's my friend Ray Fox again for The Spectral Engine. Riel Godbout for so you gave me a pronunciation guide for this and I've forgotten. Amerique La Disparu. That's close enough. Put out by my good friends at La Pastèque. Jeff Lemire for Trillium 1-5. And Adventures of Superman 1 Fortress. Yeah. Yes, we'll applaud that. Francis Manipul for The Flash. 16-17 and 19-25. Joe Ullman for Science Fiction. And Ziviane for La Deuxième. And the winner of Most Handsome Cartoonist, it could be a woman. It is Ziviane. Look at that. Is that a woman? Yeah, see? I know these things. Hey, everyone. If you hear this, it means that I won. I won this prize? Really? Wow, imagine me as a French-Canadian woman. Wow, this makes me so happy. I would like to thank the jury and everyone who read this book and everyone who created this event, the Joe Shuster Award. I am pleased to see a place in which works of arts of both culture, French and English, can compete together. We have too much to share between our two cultures. Congrats to the other nominees and to all readers. Continue to read comics, you're super cool. She said right there. She says it. This was a bit improvised, and I'm not sure about the English. She actually is doing just fine. And thanks to you and a little smiley face. So there you go. Yeah. And are we done? We're done. Let's drink. Let's go to the bar. Let's do it. Kevin. Let's another round for Kevin. This amazing that he got it together.
Thank you so much. And thanks to the crew that helped out today. Thanks to Comic Book Culture. Thank you for coming. And I can sleep for a few nights at least after this. So thanks. Take care.